polling for the race for the White House in 2016, and on the Republican side, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush is the clear front runner, gaining the support of nearly 1/4 of Republicans who were surveyed. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie a distant second, with the other Republican contenders garnering just single-digit support.
Yeah, and I didn't even see Scott Walker up on that list over there on that poll. Anyway, joining us now is Kyle Kondik, Director of Communications at the University of Virginia Center for Politics and Managing Editor for Sabato's Crystal Ball. Welcome back, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You wrote a great piece along with Larry and Jeffrey Skelly for the Crystal Ball and the site, and actually this appeared in Politico, talking about the GOP's edge. And you point out something that is very interesting, and that is that usually the party doesn't win 3 presidencies in a row.
Yeah, that's true. And so, there is a kind of cyclical nature to American politics that, one party gets its stay in the White House and the other one gets another opportunity. That said, we have come close to having 3 straight party terms in the White House a number of times in recent history. Of course, it did happen with George H.W. Bush winning what was effectively Ronald Reagan's 3rd term in 1988. Al Gore won the popular vote to run for Bill Clinton's 3rd party term, basically. Gerald Ford came close to having 3 straight Republican terms in the White House. Hubert Humphrey came close for the Democrats in 1968. So basically what I'm saying is that there is kind of a penalty that a party pays to run for a 3rd straight term in the White House. But we've also had a lot of really, really close elections where a party was going for 3 straight terms but came up just a little bit short.
Now, how much does the actual talent, or the candidates, if you will, enter into this as opposed to just, looking at, even in those past races? I mean, here we have, as you point out, a field with Jeb Bush and lots of talented, younger Republican candidates, new blood, so to speak, whereas the Democrats, have Hillary and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, I mean, I think the candidates matter, a great deal. We'll see how good of a candidate Hillary Clinton actually is, assuming she decides to get in the race and wins the nomination. She hasn't historically run great races, I wouldn't say. But at the same time, I think she's making, it seems like she seems to be hiring a little bit better staff than she had in the past, maybe going outside of her comfort zone a little bit. And look, I mean, there's a historical quality to her candidacy. She'll be the first major party female candidate. And, so that's a factor. And then on the Republican side, there are a lot of names. Obviously, Jeb Bush leads the list, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, a number of other people. How good of candidates are they? We'll have to see. So yeah, I mean, you could look at the history, and I think it's important to do that. But the candidates matter too, quite a bit.
Let's, if you will, to talk about, and people are saying that this is a skewed poll. I have no idea, but it was done by for MoveOn.org and Democracy for America. It's a YouGov poll of likely Democratic voters, and it found that Elizabeth Warren leads Hillary Clinton in both Iowa and New Hampshire. How is that possible?
Well, so I did see that poll, and what the poll does is it asks a bunch of questions, basically questions that sort of make Elizabeth Warren look good, and then it asks the ballot question. And so, when you tell voters a bunch of good stuff about one candidate in the poll, you're sort of skewing the results to sort of produce the results you want. And then, of course, MoveOn and some of these other Democratic or kind of liberal groups definitely want Elizabeth Warren to run for president, and so I think these polls were put out to sort of make it seem like she was leading in these races when, other polls find Hillary Clinton up by a lot because they're polls that don't sort of prep the people being asked the poll what they're supposed to respond with.
Well, by the way, speaking of Hillary Clinton, if after you leave us, if you should run into her, either hiding in your closet or under the chair or walking the halls, first, don't look her in the eye, and secondly, give us a call because nobody has seen her in quite some time.
Well, this is part of the question for the Clinton campaign is that you know, it looks like she's almost certainly going to be a candidate, but without a Elizabeth Warren or somebody else credible pushing her, she doesn't really have any incentive to do public appearances or to announce her campaign. She may not announce her campaign until the summertime.
Right.
And part of it is because there's not a lot of pressure on her to announce. I mean,
yeah, no, well, that's a very good point, Kyle. We're out of time, but I thank you as always, sir. We'll speak to you soon. Kyle Kondik, ladies and gentlemen. More of the show right after this.